Okay, welcome back, ladies and gents. And do you remember many years ago now, we're going way back, when I talked about that Black Mirror episode called Metalhead? I don't know when it came out, it was a good 5 or 6 years ago now. And I'll show you a little clip of it in a second. But it was that robo dog that I said, just wait, give it 5 years, and you're going to see, maybe not to that sort of technology, but you're going to see these things hitting not just the battlefield, but police. You're going to see, remember we talked about Atlas as well, and there was the DARPA prize. And I said, these robotics engineers are very, good-willed because they believe the government that they're creating these things purely for search and rescue. And we talked about that, did some videos on it, and I said, it's obvious it's not going to be used for search and rescue. They wouldn't give $1 million prize to just cover search and rescue. There's plenty of those resources already. No, it's going to be used for military purposes. This is what this stuff is always used for. First, military funds a lot of these things. Well, I was just doing a quick catch up today, looking at everything being used, and I thought this was really interesting. So rather than stream about some of the other stuff I was going to talk about, I thought, while it's fresh, why don't I talk about this, because I know some of you were really interested in that video I did before. So I thought, let's talk about some of the drones and some of the other stuff now, which is actually being used in war zones and everything else. And there's a lot more yet to come with all of this. The investment going into these things is enormous. So let's quickly go over a second. So this was the clip here. If you haven't seen this is a brilliant episode. And it's got the dog here, this robo dog chasing, and I don't want to ruin what happens, but let's just say it's not good for those people. Well, this is some of the sort of stuff that we now have being used. Look at the size of this thing. That is enormous. It's much bigger than the crew there that are. You see the guy with his hand on it, and they get even bigger. That's a car there. And this is a Russian drone. This is not experimental. These are being used. That is the scale of it right now. We have this one as well. These things are enormous. They're being used all the time now, all the time. This is another one that's just being developed. This is also autonomous.
You might do that.
Yes, so Connect North America, we've been doing weaponized robots for over 15 years now.
So there you go, 15 years they've been putting this sort of stuff together. And what will happen is, as soon as the mass production kicks in, these things will get cheaper and they'll be used quite heavily. We now have dogs with sniper rifles. This is legit. Some people often think this stuff is AI generated, things like that. These are real robo dogs that exist. This is a robotic tank. And what you're also going to see is the other thing I talked about, which is the AI, or we'll talk about this in a second. And that is that when the AI becomes a lot more developed, well, it's already developed. Remember, the military gets stuff years ahead of everybody else. And I would say, the US, China, and a lot of other countries, but these are really at the forefront of it. You won't need the world's best generals in the future, because an AI system will just be given the inputs of every single scenario. It will say, read this book, read that book, Sun Tzu, The Art of War, read that book, read all this material, read all of these briefings, and then create an AI software based on military use. That will already exist today. If it doesn't already, I would be absolutely shocked. But this is the sort of thing that we will see in the future, and it's really being developed. Now, there's other interesting things as well. These are the exoskeletons that are being developed, and Russia it's called Soldier of the Future, the Russian one. They are really working on this quite heavily at the moment, investing in this stuff. This is a US surface vessel. It's called Sea Hunter. So this is also autonomous. This is not crewed or manned in any way. I really do think this is going to be the future of military, that they're going to start building all of this sort of stuff once it hits mass production scale and the costs come down, of course. I really do think they're going to start building a lot of this stuff. And then the other one is these swarm robots. I think China really got this going when, I don't know if we've got the Chinese one. You might have seen the clip of it, but the US military now, after they saw all the Chinese ones, the swarms that they did, they're really working on this very, very heavily. So the US military is really going, investing a lot of capital into this. And we're having articles out every day. Look, this just came out last night, actually. US Army is testing rollout of gun-mounted robot dogs in the Middle East. So this is what they are testing, and they've already said that they're going to be investing quite heavily into these robot dogs if the trials are successful. And so far, from what we've seen, the trials have been pretty good. Now, obviously, this is not going to be as accurate as a human at this point, but as time goes by, it will be. And it was interesting that, I think it's, where is it? Boston Dynamics. They've actually said that they're really upset that the US military and other militaries are using their sort of robots and tech for military and warfare usage. What exactly did they expect? It's obvious that's what it was all going to be used for. I'm amazed that all these robotics engineers now are coming out and saying, we didn't design this stuff to be used in war and everything else. I mean, obviously that's what this was going to be used for. I said this from day one. You know, you think the Atlas robot that they wanted everyone to design, which is a human, it basically looks like a human, moves like a human, it's not like the dog ones. Obviously, that they're going to say, oh, it's for search and rescue, and it probably will be used for that in the future, but no, they're going to use these as military usage. The first robot dog the company made for commercial use, called Spot, you probably remember that one, you've seen it dancing and all that sort of stuff, only $75,000 each, was marketed only for industrial and warehouse operations, with initial research praising its ability to inspect and gather safety data at construction sites. Boston Dynamics later said it would not support weaponization of the technology, urging its peers to join the pledge. Now, remember as well, you've had a lot of police forces. Now, it's interesting, New York and Los Angeles were the ones that sort of started trialing this early, but it got very heavy criticism for it. Here we go, we've got the AI-enabled rifle here as well. So they're starting to build AI into it. The earlier models were just remote control, but now they're starting to build the AI in so that the artificial intelligence can start to do a lot of this itself and really identify targets. And eventually you'll see entire units of these things where they'll be replacing real soldiers. And that's exactly what a lot of these articles are talking about. Where's the, this was interesting. This is China. This is what is going on in China right now with some of their equipment. This really is going to be the future. Look at these things. I think China's probably, gosh, look at that. Yeah, that would ruin your day if you saw that coming at you. Look at that. Goodness. All right, we've seen enough of that. So this came out of Axios then. 1/3 of US military could be robotic. This is a prediction. This is one of the units we just talked about. So this is what they are talking about now then. In the next 10 to 15 years, they think that 1/3 of the military will be robots. But I think probably artificial intelligence as well, because do you need someone who is sat there typing on a computer doing a lot of this sort of stuff as well? No, you can just use the AI to do it. And I thought this was funny. Congress is really worried then about these robot dogs with machine guns that are going to be going into the battlefield in the future. And it's not that they're worried, no, they're worried about China releasing these videos showing these very advanced robo-dogs. And this was by I think it was the CCP that put this out. This was a 110-pound dog-like robot shown carrying and firing a rifle. And the Chinese military said the robot can perform many tasks autonomously, could serve as a new member in our urban combat operations. So Congress is not happy. They had a meeting over this, and yeah, this is where it's going. And this was out of CNN then.
Cambodian, Lao, Malaysian, Thai, and Vietnamese militaries. The dogs have been popping up on China's heavily regulated social media, and this is the latest instance of that happening.
And then we had the other one, Roscoe. This was the robot dog with the mass state police. So this is just non-stop. You can see where this is all going. This was that one, the state police dog. Taylor, this is in Michigan. Look at all this. And this is what I find a little bit worrying. I don't know if you've seen a lot of these movies where, what was the one I watched recently? It's called Elysium. Matt Damon, he's trying to, and that the Atlas kind of robot came by and broke his arm or whatever it did to him. And it's pretty interesting. Imagine this sort of stuff, this sort of technology in the future. And if you look at some of the quite far out there forecasts from a lot of futurists, it's really interesting how they believe that military, medical, fire service, police, etc., they will all be robotics and artificial intelligence in the future. And they believe that and we're talking way into the future here, but they believe very few of them will actually be human beings. It's quite fascinating when you look into all of this. I know a lot of people said from my last video that I made, what's this one, Spot, said years ago that, because I still get emails and messages about it now, that some people invested years ago into some of these sort of companies. And I mean, I guess people have done quite well from those investments, the AI and robotics stuff. It's not something that I personally invested in because I try not to invest into military type of things or anything where it could, bombs, anything like that. I try and keep my investments fairly ethical as best as possible. But I know a lot of you did that, and congrats if you made money on some of this stuff. Then you have a Spot, the LAPD's new crime-fighting robot dog. They said that the initial trial was very successful, and they're going to be looking into using more of these. More police forces are going to be using these robo-dogs. And then I just wanted to finish up with something slightly different. And this is what I just saw today about FEMA. And they're saying, I mean, we're relating this here with the responses. FEMA's saying it doesn't have enough funding to last through the hurricane season, which is pretty unbelievable. And social media is absolutely going to town on this and destroying it, because the Homeland Security Secretary said the agency tasked with helping communities recover from Hurricane Helene said they don't have enough money to make it through the hurricane season. There's just not enough money, they are saying. They're saying they've been stretched, that they just haven't got money, they haven't got anything. But yet, this is what I saw on social media about where a lot of the funding is. So far this year, 24.4 billion for Ukraine, 11.3 billion Israel, almost 2 billion Ethiopia, etc. I've seen this reposted. Look at this, almost 12 million views on this, and residents got $750. So social media is going crazy about this post, with FEMA saying they just haven't got enough funds to help or do a lot of the work that needs to be done to help all of these residents. It's pretty sad state of affairs, really, when you see this, with the amount of money that's just every single day produced in the US and just flowing out to all sorts of crazy projects and things all around the world. And then when your own citizens are caught out by, not even caught out, but when your own citizens have a hurricane devastates lives, so many people killed or lost their homes, and $750, and the support they're saying is going to take months months for a lot of the funding to come in to help people. It's pretty sad, I thought, but I thought I'd throw that on the end of the video here, last video of the week. So I'll see you again on Monday. Thanks for being online this week, and I hope you got something out of all of the videos. And apart from that, take care. God bless you all and your families, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.